everybody, the purpose of this video is to get you some solutions to this homework we went over yesterday. The first one's 5,280 hours is how many days? Again, this was one of the ones you all had asked about in class because it had showed up in a problem we were working on. So 5,280 hours. Now you got to remember, whenever you see a number that's not a rate like that, whether it's got a unit or not, you can always place it over 1. Always. And that's been coming in real handy as we were working through these last couple conversion type problems. So now, this is what we have. Where we want to get to is days. And if it helps, days over 1. Because that's a unit too, and it's going to be a number with that unit attached to it. So we have to get from hours to days. And as we talked about in class yesterday, the way to get to this is to realize if you have hours in a numerator, we're going to be looking for a conversion fraction that has hours in the denominator. So that's because we can get rid of, and I've got my little, I don't have a red chalk for Lindsay, but I got an orange one. We can get rid, oh, that's more red, we'll use that one. We can get rid of hours in that way. Won't do it yet, wait till we get the conversion fraction complete. And then you realize this is what we want to get to here. Some days. Beautiful. All we have to do now is fill in the numbers that the conversion fraction is equal to. And we know that in one day there's 24 hours. So now we take care of the hours, and it's just, all we got to do left is do the math. And this is the fun part. So you have 5,280 times 1, which is 5,280. And then you got 1 times 24, which is 24. And a lot of you in class had just said, isn't it just dividing by 24? And you know, yes, it is. But the thing about it is, 200 something. Yeah, 220 hours, 220 days, excuse me. It is just dividing by. But there have been times in class when you've all asked me, well, do I multiply or do I divide? And to which I say, go look at the units, because the units will tell you what to do. Yesterday, a few of you actually got fractions that were inverted, which is totally fine. But then you have to invert the math you're doing too. If it was multiplication, then it's division and vice versa. Okay, next one. If someone can run 100 miles in 35 hours and 52 minutes, what's their speed in miles per hour? And we spent a lot of time in class doing this one. So if you weren't in class, 100 miles per 35 hours, 52 minutes. Now the nice thing about this is we're almost there. We're almost done. Because you have 100 miles, 35 hours, 52 minutes. Well, you've already got miles per hour. It's just you got these pesky minutes. These pesky minutes over here. And what makes this harder than most problems is that minutes, there are 60 minutes in an hour, not 100. And there are 60 seconds in a minute, not 100. We're so used to things like 10 and 100 and 1,000. If we had base 100 time, it'd probably be easier to do this problem. But we don't. We have base 60. So what we have to do is figure out, we have to change this minute right here to an hour. So it's a sub-problem. It's a sub-problem within the problem, which is definitely what makes it more challenging. So I'm going to leave the 100 miles right there because we do want that. I'm going to leave the 35 hours right there because we do want that too. And we're going to put miles per hour over here. What we got to do is work on this 52 minutes. So I'm going to extract that and bring it down here a little bit. 52 minutes. We want to turn that into hours. 52 minutes turned into hours. Now remember, they're both over 1. So all we've got to do is figure out the conversion between minutes and hours. And we already talked about that. It's 1 hour is 60 minutes. 1 hour, 60 minutes. Okay? So then we do the math. 52 times 1. Oh. There you go. 52 times 1 is 52. 1 times 60 is 60. It's 52 60ths of an hour. 52 60ths. Now, in my mind, I can do 50 60ths is 0.83. So I'm going to guess this is about 0.85. Let's see how close I get. Yeah, 52 60ths is 0.87. I was off by a little bit. So this is 0.87 of an hour, which means we're fairly close to being done, because we can rewrite the denominator of this not as 35 hours, 52 minutes, but as 35.87 hours over 100 miles. And notice we are now in the correct units. We have the units we need. We've got miles per hour. All you got to do is do 100 divided by 35.87, which is going to be just under 3. Let's do this. 100 divided by 35.87. Yeah, I'm going to call it 2.8 miles per hour. So that is the speed that Aubrey's friend did his, whatever that was, ultra marathon in. 2.8 miles per hour. There you go. Okay. Now that was the first two. The last one, which was the most involved, is not terrible. I guess you can pause the YouTube video if you're watching this. Yeah, so you can go back and pause and watch that part again. The last part was, if you go from here to Redmond, 15 miles, and in one way you go 55 miles an hour, and in another way you go 45, how much time do you actually save? Okay, so I'm going to do part of this for you, because once you see how to do part of it, you'll see how to do the other part, because it's just a replication of that part. I gotta wash this board, it's getting disgusting. I'm gonna do this in bright green chalk, maybe it'll stand out a little bit better. So let's go 15 miles from here to Redmond. I'm gonna put it over 1. Some of you in class were saying things like, call that one trip, like 15 miles per one trip, and that's totally awesome, because what you'll end up getting on the other side is the unit of something per trip, and we'll see that in a second. Let's go 55 miles an hour first. 55 miles an hour. Now look, this is up top 15 miles. If you were to write 15 miles per 1 hour, would that make sense? Because some of you in class asked me, do I multiply or divide by 55? Well, let's figure it out. If you were to put 55 miles per 1 hour, you'd then have miles times miles over 1 times hour, which means your unit would be miles squared per hour, which makes absolutely no sense. You're looking for units to agree with each other and divide off. So what we need to do is write this unit as we go 1 hour every 55 miles. Because now you get that, and you end up with 15 hours every 55 miles. Which again, it's like, I don't understand, that doesn't make any sense, 15 hours every 55 miles. That's because we need to get, oh! I retract that last bit that I just said. I'm not going to re-record the entire video, I apologize. You go 15 hours per 55. 55 what? Well, don't worry about that. There's no per what. I was thinking in my head of calling this a trip, 15 hours per 55 trips. Don't worry, it's just 15 hours over 55, which means you do 15 divided by 55 hours, which is less than 1 hour, which of course you knew it was going to be. So we're going to do 15 divided by 55, and we end up with 0.27 repeating. So let's make this easy and call this 3/10 of an hour. 3/10 of an hour. And I'm going to give you a hint before I send you off on the rest of this. You can change that to minutes, because we just did this earlier. We changed minutes to hours. You can easily change hours to minutes. I'm not going to tell you how. I want you to look at the conversion rate we used earlier, and here's a hint. Okay, so that's how long it would take you going 55. Going 45 should logically tell you you're going to take more time to go 45 than you did going 55. Then you can convert that to minutes, then you can subtract them. I'll give you a little bit of a hint. I think with the number we came up with in class was a little less than 4 minutes difference. So going 55 versus 45 is a little less than 4 minutes of difference. And that's all. That's all we got. So, apologies for that stupid miles mistake. I can't believe I canceled the units and then wrote them anyway. So, anyway, we make mistakes. Hope that helped, and we'll see you in class.